Hello everyone, welcome to Video Game Music Commentary and Transcription. I'm Martin Leung, video game pianist. Today's piece will be looking at The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it will be the second trailer that Nintendo released on December 1st, 2016. I'm very excited to look at this piece, so let's look at it right now. Alright, so those first notes remind me of some music that I've heard before. And it happens to be from a movie called Spirited Away. And this scene is from when Chihiro is in the cave and she's exploring the cave after she has left the car. And this is part of the music I would like to play. So right there, you hear these notes. So those notes are from that piece in Spirited Away. Now let's listen again to the trailer music here. So as you see, there are very similar sounds to those notes there, and these notes here. So, and this is from Spirited Away, and this is from the trailer theme from the December 1st trailer. So as you see, they're very similar in terms of melodic shape. The notes ascend to the high note, then go down a fourth, a perfect fourth, and then in the Zelda trailer theme, it goes up and descends a perfect fourth. Spirited Away, Zelda. So there are very close similarities between the music to Spirited Away and The Legend of Zelda immediately. And they're both played by the piano. And they're really close in the same register of the piano in this area and this area. And by the way, what you see here in the piano, here I've got my electronic piano connected to my computer via a USB MIDI port, and so whenever I'm playing the notes on my piano here, it lights up here in the program Sibelius that I'm using. So as we see that there's no determined composer for this music yet, Nintendo hasn't announced who the composer is for The Legend of Zelda. All we know is that Koji Kondo is the Nintendo audio supervisor, as he has been for previous Nintendo games as well. So, and there are other similarities between Joe Hisashi's music and Nintendo's music. So let's look at the previous piece that I've transcribed in the series. It's called Piano 01. And in this piece, we see that there's an almost a focus on the note E, specifically this note here. So as you know, as you may have heard, the piece begins with E and then goes down to B. And then the second voice enters and then goes back up to E. And then it goes back down to E. Back to E. And then it goes back to E here. And then repeats again. So this E is really emphasized many times. And in Joe Hisashi's pieces, we see that note E emphasized in several pieces, such as in the soundtrack The Lost City. In the first track, Prologue Drifting into the City, there's a piano solo, and sure enough, the note E is emphasized. And also in Spirited Away, One Summer's Day, the piece begins in the note E. And now here comes the repeated E's. And so forth. So there's no official announcement that Joe Hisashi is the composer, but so far there are many similarities between the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild music and Joe Hisashi's music. So let's continue transcribing this piece. All right, so let's add the time signature, which should be 4/4. Now, actually, the rhythm might be actually twice as fast. So let me change that to be now, as you see here, I've got the trailer looping. So you can see the trailer in which the music that we're looking at is from where it's from. So the trailer is about a minute and a half or so, and it's just there for inspiration. So you know the music is linked to the visuals. And the notes you're hearing in the background are the Sibelius sounds from, I think, Sibelius 7.5. And that's what the computer is playing. And what you hear here is from my Korg SP250 piano. And if you haven't seen the trailer and heard the music yet, I recommend you pause the video first and then watch the trailer, then come back and watch a video, because that way you get an overview of what the trailer sounds like. And here we're already diving into the details of the trailer music. All right, so I'm gonna add some pedal there. And sustain that for a little longer. So let's see how that sounds. Let's select crescendo as well. All right. So let's continue. All right, right, so let's figure out what those notes are, because I mean it's these notes, but the rhythmic grid, because in many of these times, in many of these pieces, such as Piano 01, the pulse is not delineated so clearly because obviously this um, there's supposed to be a sense of freedom in the pianist that's playing the notes. So there's not um, there's not a clear sense of pulse. In other words, that has like a clear rhythmic background, like that's very clear that it's 4/4 meter and the left hand are these eighth notes. The rhythmic grid is very clear, but in here it's very hard to determine what um, this the rhythmic pulse is. 3, 4. Because if I count, these notes are not going to be on the same beat, and for practical reasons, we're not going to delve into whether this notes would be a quarter note tied to a 32nd note, or if it will be a quarter note just on its own, because these details, which may be practical in some cases, will not be practical in this sense. I don't think it fits to the style of music in which this rhythmic accuracy is necessary. So in other words, the resolution at which we determine the rhythm is not going to be so in depth to the depth of the 32nd note. Because in that case, we might use expressive terms such as rubato or ritardando or accelerando or con moto. And these are all Italian words which either to denote whether the tempo is sped up or slowed down, or how much of how much should the pianist play according to the pulse of a 4/4 meter. Because a music is not always played in a 1, 2, 3, 4 always to the pulse. There's always give and take in the pulse, and sometimes that give and take determines the skill level of the performer and the taste of the performer too, because some people play music with so much rubato it sounds overly done, and one might get seasick listening to such music. But in this case, I don't think the pianist is overdoing any rubato. There's some rhythmic flexibility, but at the same time, it's not a lot. 3, 4, 1. See right there, the G and D came in between the third and fourth beat, so it's hard to figure out exactly what it lies. So let's hear it again. So I'm assuming this C goes on the first beat and the F goes on the second beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, so there. Let's say the D goes on the first beat of the second measure. So I'm trying to do this a little faster than the previous video, because the previous video, I transcribed 30 seconds of music and I spent about 3 hours transcribing it. So obviously, practical speaking, that's not the best amount of time I spent transcribing it, but it's my first video and just new to this process. And I'm so happy that the response has been so great. And people are enthusiastic about this. But when I generally transcribe music, it takes me about an hour to transcribe 1 minute of music. So to transcribe that 30 seconds of music should have only taken me about 30 minutes. But since I'm walking through the process and talking my thoughts out loud, it slows me down quite a bit in terms of my efficiency. So, but I hope you enjoy it, because I'm doing it for you, and I hope everybody enjoys discussing the music on a musical level, because many times video game music has been too much talked about in terms of the visuals and the gameplay. But I think some music, especially great music, should be able to be discussed on the merits of the music alone. And I want to bring my experience in studying classical music and playing video game music, transcribing music, and performing piano to this arena of video game music and talking about it on its own level. So let's see where we are. All right, so I meant that F to be tied to this, and then this G will be on the and of 4 leading to this D here. Now, I would like these notes to not be bracketed together because I wanted to show this G is connected to the D, but well, I just upgraded to Sibelius 8.5, so I'm still used to this layout, and I know there's a way to change how the notes are bracketed, but let's not worry about that for now. Alright, so how long is that note? Let's say it'll be half note. One, two, three. See, the F came in a little earlier than the third beat, and I don't know if I want to put in the and of 2. It just, I don't know, just doesn't seem that. Doesn't make sense. Because as you see, all other beats have been on the first third and the first beats here. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Alright, so that could make sense. See, I'm trying not to count so strictly because I've almost given up on the principle that if I count strictly that the beats will lie on where the beats land, because if I count strictly, I know that my counting is not going to line with the music. So I'm trying to bend my counting a little bit, but sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't help, sometimes it just doesn't add clarity to what's going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is like retardando, and then this seems to be a pickup note to the next third measure. So make this an eighth note, and add a retardando here. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Alright, so let's figure out what those notes are. Is that it? Not sure. Yep, okay, so it's these notes: D flat, A flat, C, D flat, E flat, E flat, F. And so we'll copy and paste this and see how much we can salvage without having to enter in the notes all the time. But since I have my keyboard, whoops, see, the computer thinks that I'm playing that as one chord. That should be a flat. One, two, 3, 4, 1, 2. Alright, so there seems to be another retardando here. I should add an odd tempo here, which means to go back to the original tempo, and we still haven't decided what the tempo is. So let's see. Seems like another andante tempo. So let's add the text. Andantes at the piano dynamic. We'll add another indication espressivo, which means to play expressively. So that will count for some rubato as well. Contribute to the rubato feeling of the push and pull feeling, because obviously this shouldn't be played in time, all this strict rhythm. Here maybe this would be rallentando. So rallentando is an extreme version of ritardando, so that music starts immediately slowing down, whereas ritardando means gradually slowing down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. All right, so that C should be on the third beat. I'm still getting used to fitting with the piano here. And, whoops. All right, there we go. And as you can see that there's strings coming in here. So this is an orchestral piece. So the string section take over this note G here. So there's should appreciate that there's a change of color, change of sonority. So the piano plays G, and then there's an overlap, what we call an elision, like in poetry, or where the text, the word elides with the beginning of the next sentence, or even the sound. So let's add the string section now. Violin 1, violin 2, cello, and bass. All right, and there are the string instruments. So these instruments don't mean that there's just one violin 2, and one viola, one violoncello, one contrabass, or double bass. So these are an entire string section and an orchestra. So the violin 1, violin 2 will these are played by the same instrument, but violin 1 plays a different part and violin 2 plays another part. So usually the violin 1 plays the higher part of the melody, and violin 2 plays a lower part in the melody, and sometimes fills out the harmonies. So both violin 2 is very important. Just because violin 1 is number 1 doesn't necessarily mean that it's the most important instrument. Such as in the opening to Mozart's The Marriage of Figaro, violin 2 starts. The theme. That's from the. It's a really exciting overture to the opera. So, yeah, the violin 2 start that melody. It's not the violin 1. So, all right. So let's get started with what's going on in the strings. So it seems that they entered on the second beat. Actually, I should be on the third beat. Let's add some more measures. So now the piano continues on, and it's this type of this theme, and it sounds like child may sound like a child playing in the snow or something, very light, right? But as we know later on, if you've heard the whole trail theme, well, I won't spoil it for you now, but what happens that this sort of innocent theme is not so innocent after all. So first of all, the hint is just pay attention to the perfect fifths and think about what that symbolizes. So a lot of the Zelda music is about symbolism, and this perfect fifth, what does that mean? What does that conjure up in terms of a historical meaning all the way through, you know, maybe even the Roman Empire? So this type of interval. And even the age of Hildegard van Bingen back in the Middle Ages. So she was known for writing these perfect fifths. And her music is quite beautiful too. So check that out. Now, one, two, actually, so this should be on this actually smaller level. And I know Sibelius has a way of doing this diminution automatically. I think I've seen it before, but I haven't tried it yet. So basically what happens if I write eighth, quarter, eighth, this can be changed to 16th, 8th, 16 automatically. And G. So yeah. So I can use my piano. I keep on forgetting about that. This should be staccato. Whoops. Long key. Da 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 dee. Okay. And this should be an octave. And I think maybe this is even octave too. Alright, so this measure I'm not exactly sure about yet, so let's figure this out. There might be a tempo change from here, because I don't think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's not that simple. 2, 3, 4. Let's go back a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. See, this measure 5 entered earlier than what I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it's a 3/4 measure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. So yeah, it's a 3/4 measure. Unless the sort of a pickup here and that offsets everything. Well, then that would be on the 4th beat. Or maybe there's a rest before that. Oh, okay. I can live with 3/4 here and then going back to 4/4. So we put this on the 1st beat here. it would be a really interesting idea if Joe Hisashi is part of the Legend of Zelda team, because in Japan, video games and anime and manga, they've all been connected to each other. You can't, to understand video games from Japan, you have to understand the culture of um, anime and manga. You cannot just look at them separately. So um, it makes sense that Nintendo, they would hire some, and I wouldn't want to use word anime because Miyazaki doesn't like that term, and just these animated movies. But it makes sense to incorporate ideas from Japan animated movies, because uh, it's part of Japanese culture. In the Japanese video game industry, they have created many interesting video games like Super Mario, but even all the way from Katamari Damacy. So they've been extremely creative, and that's one of the strong points from video games from Japan, and that's what makes the games. That's one of the reasons why the games are so creative and there's so much fantasy, like even the Final Fantasy series too. So um, yeah, combining the ideas from anime, animated films, and then manga and video games, it's a great mix. And also that shows Nintendo saying, look, who cares about graphics? Who cares about the resolution? Because look at the animated films. Are they in 3D, or do they have all these detailed pixels? No, look at the mangas. They're not. They're detailed in character design and the way the characters are portrayed. There's so much thought going into that. But look at the graphics. I mean, they're not detailed to the pixel. They're not um, uh, compared to like Hollywood movies or video games. They spend millions of dollars in the movie cutscenes with all the graphics. Nintendo's like saying, who cares? We're gonna create a great game, even if our system is not going to be as strong as other consoles. And I think more power to them, because character design and the story and the use of fantasy and the rich cultural history of the Japanese um, the, the industry from the films and the anime and the manga, combining that, I think they'll be a huge powerhouse. So Nintendo's making a big statement if Joe Hisashi is part of this team for Nintendo, but nothing has been confirmed yet. But the musical examples that have been shown so far indicate a strong correlation between uh, the music from Breath of the Wild and Joe Hisashi's music, as I've demonstrated earlier in this video. So um, there's a lot. I mean, I cannot make a conclusive statement so far, but maybe when more music is released, or when Nintendo makes another announcement, there will be more light shed in this regard. And the key signature here is not C minor, so I want to make that clear. And another thing is Joe Hisashi's music uses a lot of chordal tones, and that means this type of thing where there's fourths around, and a fourth here and fourths here. So by fourth, I mean literally 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a fourth. And whoops, I just Surveillance thought I was trying to enter those notes in the music, but let's just play it here. So all these fourths here are what we call chordal tones. If I do this, I'm stacking up fourths on top of each other. So Joe Hisashi likes to use that in his music, such as One Summer's Day here. Look at the left hand. These are all chordal tones, and so forth. So, and in Piano 01 in Breath of the Wild, this is chordal tones for the left hand. So it's not if I assign a key signature here, it's going to imply this world of C minor, where like the Beethoven world of C minor, but this is not the C minor chord triad, but it's more of a C Dorian. So this is a C Dorian, and I think those notes are right here. To look back on these notes again to double check. But this is another mode here, like D flat Ionian. Or D flat Lydian because of that G later on. Of this G. But in any case, it's not C minor. This is music from Japan, and old Japanese music, they do not formulate the C minor. This is all part of Western music theory from like Germany and West, from Germany to the West. So this is Dorian mode. So I'm not going to put a key signature there because, again, that's going to imply C minor, and that has great implications by putting a key signature there. So, and what's also interesting is later on there's ambiguity between whether it's what we call Ionian or Dorian mode. So when you have all this music, it doesn't really resolve to an Ionian mode or really a Dorian mode. So it's like one of those things where like a lot of people, and I've seen this in many cases, people like to jump on to conclusions way too early, and you cannot say it's Ionian or Dorian, and that's the whole thing. Even the piece ends without resolving. It goes up and doesn't really resolve to this or this, and that's kind of like keeping the viewers in suspense, just seeing what's going to come next. So I perfectly understand that musical decision. But in this arrangement, I'm going to resolve it to a chord just to make it more, just have add like the icing to the cake, so to speak. So let's see if there's any other damage done to this when I was playing the piano. But I'm going to check this. So yeah, there was a G right there. So I'm not sure which notes. Alright, so I do hear that several times to just make sure it is. So it's this. This is actually not 3. Sometimes I need to play it on the piano to hear it myself to triple check what I'm doing, because even though this was, I heard this as triplet because of this, it's kind of influenced by this figure here. This figure here is different, slightly varied. And I'm trying to underline, circle this. Yeah, so this is different than this. So here it should be not a triplet, but 4/16 notes. Let's see if I can add this. Whoops. In fact, even the rhythmic resolution, I mean, there should be a 32nd note. Whoops, and Sibelius thought I played the G and the B flat together. So whenever I'm entering notes on the piano here, it should be like, I should play with a spiccato touch. So I shouldn't try to play the notes legato, because I'm used to what we call overlapping the fingers. So in other words, when you play piano, when you play like a C major 5-finger pattern like this, C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C, you don't want to play it all the notes detached, because that creates that doesn't help create a legato touch if one is trying to create a legato touch, which is really, really part of the essence of piano playing. So that doesn't sound very musical, but if I try to overlap the fingers, then I create more of a legato touch. But what happens when I do that, Sibelius thinks I'm trying to enter in two keys at once, so it starts in this sort of thing where it looks like I'm playing two notes with one finger, maybe. And if you see some of Prokofiev's concertos, like the last movement of Prokofiev Concerto Number 3, Prokofiev actually writes music which the pianist has to play two white notes with one finger. But anyways, going back to this piece here, this should be more like it. And let's hear it. And let's hear this. Pretty close. Now I just need to add the pedal here. So here's Mr. Bunny Rabbit again. So in the previous video I said the PED looks like a rabbit, and when I was growing up I thought this was a rabbit until I realized, oh, this is a P and this is a D and that's a D. So it's a pedal marking. Now let's see. I'm not sure if the pedal's held actually all the way up to the F, but let's check that detail. Yep. So it makes sense that the pedal would be held all the way up here, because this is all one musical idea here. And this is all one musical idea here. So we have this, and then another musical idea. Now, what that musical idea essentially is stating this as in C Dorian, as I mentioned before. Now this is just going up a half step. So this is, you could all consider this as the upper neighbor tone to C. So this is essentially elongating this in a way, but not doing it by repetition. It's just going up a half step. Did you notice this is a D flat? This is a D. This is just one half step above the other. So this is like upper neighbor tone to this. And now this harmony here is A flat. It's all still within the realm of C Dorian. So let's figure out how this chord, it's an A flat major sounding A flat Ionian chord. Let's see how this is spread out between the instruments. So the recording, I'm assuming that all these instruments are used, and it's hard to tell exactly what instrument is playing what. I mean, the strings, they should blend the sounds together, and they should make it almost indiscernible what notes are being played what. So a good symphony can do that. Bad quality symphony, you're going to hear all the different parts because they're not blending together. And so I have to do some guesswork as to what notes are be playing what parts. But I can use some common sense to figure out what notes are playing by what parts, by listening to the highest note and the lowest note, then try to fill out the middle parts by the harmony. Okay, so let's just work on the lowest note and the highest note. Now we hear this is A flat, and that note goes down to G. So there's some, what we call a descending bass line. And right, the contrabass is played one octave lower than what's written. So the A flat here corresponds to the A flat that's lower. It should be a whole note. I'm assuming this. Alright, so this is some what we call a fourth progression in the bass. And I don't think it goes to E flat, but let's descends a little bit. Now let's listen to the violin. So let's see the pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so this is a dotted quarter note. And whoops. Let's see. Alright, so as you see, this is G, C, G, and it's kind of inverted from this. It's similar to this pattern, except instead of going C, G, C, G, it's going G, C, G, C. So I'm going to put a slur here. And the rhythm is augmented from that. So these notes are played more quickly, and these are played with a longer note duration. And let's see what, again, try to think about what this represents. And later on in this piece, in this very short, about 1 minute piece, like this motive will be revealed in a somewhat dramatic fashion. But not overly dramatic, but it's still dramatic. Alright, so this is G minor, G Dorian. Let's figure out. Alright, so we can do the good old copy paste here. Now this actually might be dotted half note. Alright, so now let's figure out the harmony. Alright, so now this lowest note is not an E flat, it's actually an E natural. Now that's a good thing. Well, it's what I mean, it's a sign of a good composer, because for good composers, they defy the listener's expectations a lot. And as you recall, I wrote an E flat here because that seemed logical. It would go from A flat, G, F to E flat. But the composer surprises the listener by putting an E natural there. So this is a E natural composed as opposed to the E flat. So A flat, G, F, E flat instead of as opposed to A, G, F, E natural. And this is surprising because first of all it changes the harmony to this sort of C Ionian, whereas this would be more in the C Dorian, and it's just surprising. So the listener's expectations are surprised there. The listener's surprised with the E natural. So again, a not so good composer would write an E flat here, and the listener would be like, yeah, of course, that's what I expected, what's going to be next, and that sort of thing. So good composers don't really bore the listener, and this is why this is a sign of a good composer by writing this E natural here. All right, and there are other reasons why this composer is good as well, and hopefully by the end of this video, we'll see other qualities of this music, and how it sheds light, and how all these themes like this, what this actually means. This sounds very innocent, right? So it just sounds like something like that, but it's actually not innocent completely. So that's also one of the great things about this piece, is that this theme, this fifth, actually transforms into something else. Now we're on the topic of Joe Hisashi possibly composing this piece, or maybe it could be a student. Who knows? Maybe he has some composition students, and they really admire Joe Hisashi, and they studied his music and his works, and they incorporated his writings into their music. Who knows? Or somebody who just admires Joe Hisashi, and they like these ideas, and I'm just happen to uh, happen to recall Joe Hisashi's music. Who knows? But there have been cases of some people comparing Michael Jackson's music to Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So that's all on YouTube. I'm not going to go in that direction right now, but it's pretty funny to mull over the idea of possibly Michael Jackson could compose for something for Sonic the Hedgehog. And yeah, that'd be quite something. So let's figure out what's going on in these mystery missing measures, and what's going on here, and what's going on here. So there's a lot of things to fill out. And since I'm transcribing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 staves, as opposed to just 2 staves for the piano, this part is going to take slightly longer, because obviously I just have more things to listen to. And of course, music transcription is different from speech transcription, where hopefully just one person is talking, one just has to transcribe speech. But for music, it could be many voices playing at once, so such as in this case here. So there's a lot to listen to. Everything is layered. It's like a huge, dense cake or cheesecake. And I have to cut through all those layers and figure out all the ingredients in that cheesecake. All right, so let's see what's going on. All right, so this goes to B flat. C. And there's some sort of syncopation here. And there might have been something like this. Oops. So sometimes when I play this A flat, Sibelius notates that as a G sharp. So I would have to go into a setting to automatically change sharps to flats, but that might take a few extra seconds, whereas I could do this. I think that is it. That's what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. So actually it goes up to C. So when I'm talking, sometimes it's hard to listen to what's going on. Alright, so let's get rid of and okay, so let's see what's going on in the piano here. So G, F, G, C, something like that. It should be dotted chord note. This should be in octaves. Da, da, dee, da. This should be triplet or half note triplets. Chord note triplets. And then the left hand picks up here. Maybe like that. Okay, so let's get back to our cheesecake. Alright, so let's figure out what's going on in violin 2, viola, and violoncello. So now let's see what parts should be doubled. I think violin 2 will play a note that's close to this, and then viola will somehow double, maybe double violin 1. I recall how orchestration, some Beethoven and Brahms would orchestrate something like this. I took orchestration, let's see, in fall 2012, so it's been a while since I've taken orchestration, but let's see if of course all the composers are going to orchestrate in their own way, so how the cheesecake is layered is obviously going to vary from cake maker to cake maker. Violin 2 is playing this in a sort of tenths interval between contrabass. A flat. And so that leaves viola. Last but not least, viola is not the least important instrument. It's viola jokes are not funny, they're old. Viola is a very important instrument, cannot be underestimated. So what is left? So we need this E flat here, that rich E flat. Alright, so if we look at this, the verticality of the harmony, I'm going to play all these notes together on the piano. Now, The question is whether this E flat is one octave lower than written, because the range of the viola is from here and upwards. So the four strings of the viola are here, where the four open strings of a violin are. So the viola is slightly lower, and it's a slightly larger instrument than the violin to accommodate, to create that rich sound. And the violoncello is larger than the viola, and the contrabass is larger than the violoncello. So I think this E flat might be one octave lower there. And as you see, the clef for the viola is different too. So this line here is middle C, corresponds to this note on the piano here. So this would be an E flat here. So the verticality of this harmony would be, whether the piano will be up here. So let's listen to that verticality of the harmony. Okay, it sounds pretty close to this. Let's check. Alright, so there we have it. So now I think that hard part is done. Now we just need to fill in this part here through logical and deductive reasoning. It does not take much creative efforts. It's all a matter of technique now. So let's see what's going on here. E flat. Now this is a G Dorian harmony, so this viola should now play a D. There. And the next note should be a C. Let's see, and this should be also a C. So, is that right? E flat. So that can't be a B because this is this harmony here. And this goes on to violoncello playing this F, E flat, this gorgeous harmony. Leaving out the fifth, doubling the third. So look at this gorgeous lower neighbor tone going up to F. How it leads in to this F. So violoncello here plays E flat. Most likely. And now this switches to E natural. C, F. Let's play it. See how it sounds. Around there. Here's C somewhere. is... Wait, this should be a G. Actually a G. It's like coding in the computer. If you have one line that's has a bug, the whole program won't work. This kind of reminds me of this. There's something wrong here, but I know how it's supposed to go. Let's see what's going on. Now, one thing is that there's a huge range between this violin 1 and violin 2. Maybe this is supposed to go up to D. This is supposed to go up to E flat. E flat. This goes up to E natural. See, sometimes if I play around like this, I'll stumble across the right configuration. Okay, so something to do with... Okay, this is supposed to go by step, I think. But I heard that it's F thing. So the chord I want to play is this. So see what's going on. We have the G here, we have the F, B flat. B flat. Still doesn't. Let's see, we got the first part here, right? Just something here. Okay, let's see what's going on. Okay, usually the bass should be accompanied by something in parallel motion. So that makes sense. Is this... I may have misread that. Okay, so let's say this is a whole note now. Let's don't worry about the chord note, upper lower neighbor stuff. Yeah. So this goes down by step. Alright, so that's a little better, but the harmony now sounds a little... There's some note that's missing. Let's say all the notes go in a similar direction. Alright, there we go. Voice leading 101. Of course, what happens when you got caught up in this low neighbor tone, I got too focused on that, and then sometimes it pays to look at the big picture of where all these voices are heading. So it's all going downwards by step. So now we can try to figure out what's going here. There could be an F here, which would make perfect sense. Alright, so now let's listen to if there are any passing tones, such as this quarter note here. Yeah, I definitely hear this. Something go to F. Here a lower neighbor tone going in the 4th beat. This could be E flat. So here, E flat there. So, this might be an F actually. That's what. Another question is what dynamic are these instruments are playing, because they could all be playing at forte for all we know, because it all depends on how the mics are set up. And let's look at the pacing of the piece, when the dramatic element that comes in later in the piece. I don't think a forte would necessitate a forte to be played here. Maybe it's say mezzo piano. Oops. Let's see if we can. Oh, can't add all of them in at the same time. All right. a seventh though? There should be here. It's somewhere here. It's one of those things where it's right in front of you. Sometimes it's the obvious things. I mean, I could put here, maybe the volume 2 is going to play 2 strings. I don't think that's what's going on. The F is somewhere layered somewhere. Should be E flat here somewhere. So I'm going to have violoncello and bass double each other. So there's the 5th. It's not necessary in this sort of 7th chord. So could be E flat. Okay, let's assume that cello and bass double each other. The color notes that are left here for this measure here, the color notes, what I mean by color notes is that we have the bass, melodic note, and also the harmonic note. So we need also E flat and A flat. The A flat is played by violin 2 here. So it leaves E flat here. And then there. So maybe the viola is taking over that great responsibility to play E flat here and then C natural here. So maybe the viola isn't playing by step. And that's what's throwing me off, because all the other notes are by step, but the viola isn't. So this goes to F. Alright, so let's try that. That sounds much better. So now the question is, since these are not by step, is there a passing tone that links these notes to B by step? So we have C or E flat to F, E flat. These are all by step. Now to C. I wonder if there's a note here. Maybe or maybe not. So I'm going to add this note goes down. Like that. Alright, so let's see this. Alright, so there's still some more things here, I think. Okay, so this should be, there's a rest in the 4th beat here for the piano entrance for the left hand. So I know there's some pedal here. Da-dum, body. Maybe not, because this note and slur can be heard, the portato marking. So what you hear in the strings, over the strings, is the visual sound effects that are overlaid with the recording. So right now, there's no audio recording without those sound effects. Whereas in the previous trailer music, there was an audio recording without the sound effects. And that was supposedly from a Japanese website of the Nintendo trailer. So now this is a crescendo, slight crescendo up to the C, so I'm gonna add that there. And then diminuendo. See if the computer makes any change when it plays it back. I think there's a little bit of change. It's not much, I guess. Maybe I have to mechanically create a stronger crescendo by writing a dynamic mark there. Oh, there's not much change. Well, the thing is with the crescendo marking, it just means to gradually gain in strength. But to what degree does this mean? To get to triple forte or just a mezzo forte? So I try to add a mezzo forte here to make this crescendo a little more stronger. Let me change this to, let's do exaggerated. Let's make it fortissimo and see if there's a difference. And going back to mezzo piano. So let's say let's take it down a notch to forte. Alright, so there we have a more stronger crescendo going up at high note C, and then a diminuendo. So that's what happens in the recording. I think that diminuendo is delayed after reaching the C here, because this is an upper neighbor tone to C, this is a lower neighbor tone to C. So these notes are circling around the C, and this is a registered transfer. And elision to the note C here. Alright, so let's do it one more time and see if there's anything more from this portion of the cake here. It's like the chocolate part, the really dense part that creates all the harmony and the rich sounds. Cannot be underestimated. heard this A flat coinciding with D here. Let's say A flat. So part of what I'm doing is kind of a little bit of composing, because I have to figure out by deduction a lot what's going on here. Because the orchestra that's playing this has blended in the voices so well that it's like 5 or how many instruments, 70 string sections all melding into one person. So if 70 people become one person, how are we going to figure out which person is saying what? You kind of have to use deduction, powers of deduction and reasoning. Now, if I write a marking here, I should also transfer that to the other parts. At least the parts that are in parallel motion with this melody in violin 1, because it makes sense that they would also want to do a crescendo to support the violin 1. You don't want the violin 1 stranded playing the crescendo all by themselves, because that would be extremely taxing. And I think just violin is going in contra motion. Okay, let's just try putting all the voices, just for the sake of Sibelius telling the computer to make this crescendo. Because this is the first so-called dramatic swelling we have of the piece so far. First part of the piano was like an introduction. Now we have some sort of almost developmental section. So this theme is being developed. See the CG is being developed by the piano and in this violin in augmentation. And did we have that before? Actually, we did right here, these first 2 notes. And then half a step above here, and also here. So there's some fragments of these fifths coming up, but then here, this is where the fifths are really developed. So let's see how this sounds. Alright, so one thing I'm going to remove is these slurs here, because even though they might be in the score, and they make sense to have this phrase like that, like this, Sibelius isn't making this staccato enough as I'd like it to, so I'm just going to remove the slur so Sibelius will make this more staccato. Let's see. No, still no. So what we have to do is we have to change this to make that a 16th note, and hopefully Sibelius will now recognize this as a shorter note. Because in some styles of music, when there's a staccato note on a dot on the note like that, it doesn't necessarily mean to make it short like that. Because some styles of music, that's just because staccato just means separate. It doesn't mean to make it short. So it could be played like this with just that note separated already, because there's already rest here. So there's actually sometimes the composer may not feel the need to write the staccato there, but in some cases when there's notes adjacent to it. So I'm just going to write this, for example, a C. So that G just might sound like this. So that G would be separated from that C. So I'm playing that G and that C there. That just be separated a little bit. See, staccato doesn't mean to make it like a hiccup like that. So yeah, staccato just means detached. And separated does not mean short. Sometimes, depending on the style of music, some staccatos are meant to be short. Depends on the composer. If you're playing Prokofiev, if you're playing Mozart, or if you're playing Brahms, the staccato markings will mean different things in those three cases. So let's put back the slurs because they look nice. They look good there. So let's see if the staccato still come up now. Not really. So I'm gonna undo those slurs. Play it again. That's a little better. So now I would want to beam these 16 notes over that rest. So let's see if we can do that. I know there's a way to do that under appearance. Notes. Okay, here. There we go. So what's been done is that these 16 notes, the beam goes across that 16th rest. And just makes it look nicer. This is what it was before, and this is after. So it just makes it look more visually like one whole unit. Rather than having two separate things, this is all one. All right, so now let's play it again. All right. Let's play the audio. See, in the audio, it sounds, that staccato sounds even more light, actually a little playful, but Sibelius doesn't really make it that playful. Let's see. That's the thing, to add emotion, tell a computer to express emotion. There's a computer playing it versus humans playing it. Who's gonna sound more emotive? Alright, so I have to kind of feed emotion to the computer. So how am I gonna do that? I'm gonna try to make this a 30-second notes, hoping that the staccato will be even shorter. Let's try that again. There's not really much difference. Let's try putting Leggero there. Maybe the lightness. A little bit. So I think that's the best we can do for now. And let's go on. Let's see where this leads to. Because now we have, this is the lowest note so far in the piece. Actually, these voices too should also, whoops, this should also get the rhythmic treatment that I've done here. So let's just make that change. Again, I have to guess what this note will be leading up to here, because the interval from here to here is a minor third, and from here to here is a minor second. So using this template, I can't just simply transpose these notes down to here. So I'm going to guess it's a D. Let's play it back. Let's hear this. Actually, I don't hear any note. I don't hear this. So let's combine to be on the safe side. Let's just put that as a dotted quarter note. Or another option would be to make this the same note here. Then that leaves with this minor third interval here. I'm actually thinking this is also the same note too. So what this does, having these notes here, just helps contribute to more of the swell that's going on from this crescendo to forte and back to mezzo piano. So it also matches what's going on here. And imagine that the piano might also make some sort of crescendo too. So there's also the question of what dynamic the piano is playing, because just because you in the recording the piano doesn't have much of a large dynamic, it could be actually being forte or fortissimo, because the piano has to cut through the entire string section many times to be heard, and the pianist could be playing at forte, fortissimo for it to be heard. Because if the piano plays mezzo forte and the strings are playing it's a mezzo forte, it's like 1 against 70 musicians, so the piano is not going to be heard very well, and if one is sitting in the hall and listening to all the musicians. So let's say that the piano is playing at forte here, which wouldn't be unreasonable, and practically speaking, it makes sense because the piano will cut through the string section to be heard here. And this is in high register, so has a chance these notes can sparkle. Now, when Sibelius plays it, that sounds a little too much, so I'm going to put it down to mezzo forte, just one step above mezzo piano. Now, when I put mezzo forte, if you notice, let's see, because sometimes the dynamic only affects one part of the staff. So I'm going to put the mezzo forte here so it affects this. Because sometimes in Sibelius, at least in this previous version that I used, Sibelius 5, when I put mezzo forte here, sometimes it only affected the notes in the treble clef or what the right hand would play. Actually, the right hand, left hand would play this, both together. But the dynamic would only affect the treble clef. Now, if I wrote forte here, and then the notes here, and might just come as a default dynamic, whatever that would be, but it wouldn't affect these notes here. But maybe Sibelius 8.5, the version that I'm using now, might affect both staves. So let's see what's going on. Alright, so I'm going to do the same rhythmic template for violoncello and contrabass. Alright, let's play it. Let's play the recording. Alright, so actually this section seems to move a little bit more than this section, so I'm going to write tempo indication più mossa, which means more motion. I hear rest there. Now here, there might be another voice here or here that also has a coordinate on the fourth beat. It just seems odd that one instrument would play that on the fourth beat. I actually hear this as a G. I literally hear a G right there. Alright. And alright, so let's go on to measure 9. So the piano plays this. Alright, so it seems like the strings, the music is modulating to another key, but actually doesn't. So that's a little deceptive. And let's fill in E flat, G, and this goes down 1 octave. Actually, I'm going to change this back to mezzo piano because when Sibelius plays it as mezzo forte, it sounds too prominent. Oops. And this should be eighth notes. Oops. A flat, G. Now what's going on with the viola? So all these notes kind of went back to the A flat harmony. So let's say the viola is also going back to E flat there. Alright, and there's some passing tones here going to another note. So the texture for this is very polyphonic. So there are all these melodies going on. It's not just the piano that's playing the melody. These are all contributing to the musical sound, the texture. And one of the most difficult things to do in playing the piano is listening polyphonically. To listen to more than one voice at the same time, sometimes 4 voices, 6 voices, or even each finger could be a voice. So that's the challenge. So D here. So the chord I want to play is this. So that means the B flat could be played by the viola. Then that would mean viola has to jump from there to there. Maybe there's no B flat. So it's like also one of the tricky things is when figuring out these voices that sometimes it's like an optical illusion, you know, like when you see different shapes and your eye wants to fill in the missing information. It's like if you see all these different optical illusions, you might see dots that aren't there, or gray spots in between squares, because the brain wants to fill in all that information and send and make it seem like the eye is seeing that. So that's kind of like similar to this, because there's a lot of musical information going on here, and I kind of want to fill in the harmony because it's so rich and beautiful. And sometimes I might pick up something that seems logical and reasonable, but may not actually be heard in all this in this part of the recording. So there's a balance of using deductive reasoning and logic and listening to what's being played. So that's a deceptive cadence again. It goes to this F dominant 7 chord that doesn't resolve. And I want to strike a balance between being very detailed in this transcription, but also looking at the big picture. So to look at the whole forest and at the same time look at every tree. And so that's the tricky part. Okay, delete that for. So we have this. Actually, I like having those notes there because then I had all those notes on one page. So I'll just leave that there for now. All right. Now this time I think the bass note went to E flat. Now it even went down one further note to D flat. So that's a surprise. Alright, so it went past E flat through a passing tone. That was from F to E flat. Alright. Let's see what the piano's up to. Ba-da-dee-da-dum. So this is Alright. Now whether that's doubled octaves or single voice, let's see. Single voice. And then here, it's a similar pattern, rhythmic pattern. F, E flat, and then this is a second voice. I can change, I'll add it to the second stave. We might as well make use of this. And then something like that. So this A dominant chord is a deceptive cadence. So it's another surprise because it could be like this. Something, or going to this A flat harmony, Lydian, but it actually goes to, which is more provocative. Now, this actually might not be on the first or second beat. It could be one of those syncopated things where the C is anticipated to the second beat. I'm not sure. Retardando here, or allargando, broadening out. I'm not necessarily getting softer. Is this right? And again, we have a lot of voices here to fill out for that cheesecake. So let's see what those voices are. Add this tree here. Move the notes to the right, so there's more space for this rolled chord cymbal. Okay, so for this last chord, let's say, sometimes the voices are clearly delineated. Those. Or actually, that way. And maybe this could be an octave up. That would make more sense for this to go up to B flat. Honestly, I'm not the best expert at reading alto clef. So most of my reading has to be done reading the treble and bass clef, but sometimes I've had to read in the alto clef when playing with instrumentalists, such as in chamber music. So with E flat, B flat, going down to F. Let's play. So this could be A, and then going to G. I'm just going to copy and paste this so you can just use the rhythm template. All right. Let's see what else. So let's double the violoncello with the bass. And let's see what violin 2 is up to. Usually violin 2 is going to fill out the harmony and so make the harmonies more rich. So harmony here is A flat, sort of an A flat 7, major 7 chord. And this is the G minor 7, just as in the previous iteration. The past four phrases, past four measures had the same harmonic construction, but this is the deceptive cadence here. To resize this piano. It's the highest note there. All right. So the violin 2 will fill out the harmony. Let's play it, see what we've got. And let's see what the recording is like. So this should be a dotted half note. There should be a slight crescendo here, going to the F. And if I make one dynamic change there, I should do it with all the voices. And let's see. Put a tornado marking here at least. Just to show that, just emphasize the change in harmony. May not be necessary in the actual score, or there may be, who knows. But Sibelius will hopefully make a more emphasis on that harmony. And let's see. flat in the strings here. So there could be like a voice crossing here. So let's put E flat here. But, oops. So, this could go down to E flat. Trying to figure out how to get from there to there. That note. This is tied to chord note, then this one grand pause, and the piano comes in. Alright, so the piano actually might play something in the bass clef. I'm not sure. Let's add a second voice here and then add the bass clef. I think it could be a note in the bass, 2 Fs to reinforce this harmony. So I'm going to transfer this portion to that staff. I'm going to go back and put this as a bass clef. And now put this as reinforce that as F. It's not doing the allegato. Alright, so we're going to add that later in Sibelius, the playback options. I'll show you hear this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that should be 1, 2, 3. Same with here. Just say this is a whole note for now. So, wonder why this sounds so much louder than that. It's like, why does it go instead of, maybe it's this tenuto. Yeah, this shouldn't be so loud. I'll put this piano. But this should be back even as a piano. So I'm adding these artificial dynamics in Sibelius so the playback will actually be sound makes sense. That's better. All right, so actually in the actual arrangement, the final arrangement. So this won't be in there. If I remember to take that out. So this sounds a little better. I'm not sure if the bass is playing that. I don't hear that. Maybe this should just be double. Then that's out there. Makes sense. I'll just put this whole note. Diminuendo. It's actually a big diminuendo here. But the sound fades away there. That could be a fade out. And with the help of, who knows? It's a sort of fade out here. Let's say the strings have been instructed to make diminuendo to pianissimo. Yeah. Decrescendo. That should go over to there. Alright, so that pianissimo is in the way. I didn't have to extend the decrescendo. Whoops. Just have to move the pianissimo out of the way. Alright, there. So let's add that here. That reverse. No, I wonder why that's in red. Okay. Pianissimo. Alright, I think there's even something more here for pianist to play. Let's just say that there's a left-hand part that's reinforcing the harmony. Something like that. And this needs to be brought up more. How to bring that out more? Maybe double that with the bass. The bass could double it, but I think the violoncellos should be able to carry this melody on their own. That's audible. Now this second voice somehow comes in much louder. I wonder why. See, I'm trying to get rid of that. If anything, this G should be more prominent. So I'm going to add artificial dynamics and reinforce this to be as a piano. See if that helps. Now I'm going to add artificial accents here to bring this out. There we go. Because the Sibelius have to tell the computer how the voices are balanced. Which part's going to be brought out more, which part's going to be played less. It's an orchestra, everything is planned out, worked out by the conductor and the musicians listening to each other. And maybe this could be doubled too. So we don't need that. Let's leave it there. That's for that second voice. Let's put it again. You hear how that B sneaks in? It's like T. It's not like this. Yeah, that's the thing I'm not sure about. It's going from E flat, such a wide interval leap. And I'll say the bass continues here down to E flat, then D flat. See if we spell the notes. Oh, is there a shortcut for that? Alright, there. Alright. actually hear this note. It's actually be played really softly. Actually, it's like D. So just, I mean, that's such a minor detail. I mean, let's see if we do something about that. So I'm just gonna have basically make this diminuendo end here, and then just have this replayed like pianissimo like that. Good. Alright, so let's change poco allargando to poco ritardando. Starting here. Add that to all the voices. Add it to the double bass. Excuse me. So here actually this could actually be forte, so I don't know. Because this sounds just more expressive. Maybe mezzo piano might be a little too soft. So let's try add mezzo forte. We'll see it in the context of the whole string section from the beginning here. Let's worry about that later, how that didn't start on, didn't line with my counting on the first beat there. So I think this is fine with just the mezzo piano indication in this measure here. I'll just add, let's see, some marking. How about just cantabile, which means in a singing style. Singing. Actually, even better would be molto espressivo. Now here this might be double too. Actually, I don't hear it, the doubling. Let's see. Okay, A flat. So let's see. So this is kind of turned into a 3/4 measure. Whoops, not 3/2. 3/4. With, I could actually make it a 2/2 measure, then put a fermata over the rest. What that way? 2/4. Whoops. 2/4 in that measure. Fermata. That way. Then the cymbal and timpani have to come in. Okay, so to add a fermata on this measure here. Then remove the fermatas here, have the timpani come on the second beat in the 2/4 measure. Timpani and cymbals. So let me check this section again before we go into the next section. So this should be tied. Let's play it. Let's take out this. All right, so the strings sound like the blending. I don't think D to E flat would be much of a big deal. I think it sounds pretty close to the recording. So and recording. Alright, so time to add the cymbals and the timpani. Have cymbals coming on the second beat. Cymbals don't sound that much. Let's see. Okay, for now, just do it like that. But some other sounds more for crescendo. Must be some technique instrument that I'm missing, obviously. But let's see if we can fudge it by adding some sort of crescendo. If we can artificially make this crescendo. But for now, this is what we make with the cymbals. So there might be another way, obviously. Sort of timpani. It's an and of 2. Crescendo. Alright, now it's time to delete this. So let's see what's next. Yeah, there are actually only 4 timpani strikes. So we need that. This crescendo here. There's some muted horns going in the background too, so let's add horns. Two horns in F. Actually, let's just have it in one line and have horn 1 and horn 2. So if this in F. See if my okay, so I'll put this back and forth for this should be an E flat. Alright, so they're kind of more in the distance of the piano. They might be muted. I'm not sure what the term is. I'll look up the term later. So this Italian word wants to be muted. Now here comes the part where the theme, like I said before, it sounds really innocent. It sounds much more powerful because it's an augmentation. Let's say this is in forte. So as I said before, what does this sound like? Well, this is actually like the horns and trumpets that play when soldiers go into battle, because these are the perfect fifths, right? Like the battle, here comes the army. So this is like the battle music, and all the music that came before, this is like foreshadowing what's coming up here. So we have like that. And that's like the battle, the cry for the battle start. So I added all the notes here. Let me undo that. Okay. So let's see what's going on in the recording. So it's like pedal. The trumpet. But so now everything is more like like this type of sound, this more meaty sound that coincides with the video, because you see Hyrule Castle just got attacked and got hit and kind of, well, it seems to be like it got destroyed, and here's Link, and who's this mystery woman who clenches her left fist, sort of like, we're gonna fight back and we're gonna win. So a lot of people say that, oh, that could be Zelda, but we don't know. They just show her holding something across her chest, which actually might look like an ocarina, but who knows. And some people thought that, oh, she might be a playable character, but I think somebody at E3 at the Nintendo booth said, no, that's said they're not having playable characters, female playable character. But that might be, the female character is obviously very important to the storyline. So to me, I think that she's Zelda, but who knows. So before the right hand comes in, it's the left hand that plays. Oops. Pedal. And then this is sequencing down to A flat. And let's see if this sequences that. B flat. Here's the missing. I wonder why. Let's just keep the G in there anyways. Now there are these horns playing in the background. Yeah. So this goes under A flat and C, and then this goes, say, B flat D. And then there's a trumpet entrance coming from the low end of the trumpet range, so it's like playing from the low point and rising up. So it's like it's like Zelda Link feeling a lot of resolve to fight the enemy that just attacked Hyrule Castle. So let's add the trumpet. And it's going to enter on the third beat. All right, let's see what we've got here. So for here, I'm not sure if this is doubled or not. And this is resolved here. This needs to be in like forte dynamic. Maybe fortissimo, just for us to be able to bring it out more. Trumpets and be forte. I think the left hand for the piano repeats here. Oops. That doesn't sound right. Oh, because it's supposed to be over there. I think that's one octave higher when it's played again. Let me check. Just the arpeggio goes up higher all the way. up to there. Add some more measures. Okay, so let's add the trumpet solo here. Obviously, this is very important solo because the trumpet has to play this all in one breath and make a crescendo and start in the low range of the trumpet. So this is all challenges. It's like Link climbing a mountain, something's very challenging, and it's expressed in the music with this trumpet solo. And this rising scale sounds like from the Zelda theme, but in C minor. Like that. And it rises, it stops there, and then doesn't resolve. So I'll resolve it like that. So let's add the trumpet, rest of the trumpet solo. Let's start this at mezzo forte. Notice how the trumpet continues to crescendo and actually make the most of the crescendo in the last few notes. So it requires a lot of pacing on the trumpet player's part, because the trumpet uses a lot of air to make a crescendo here. The trumpet player is going to run out of air here and make the crescendo anticlimactic. And there's hardly anything worse than a solo trumpet player that fails in the solo, because everybody in the orchestra and everybody in the audience can hear it, and it's just the trumpet needs to nail this part, or the whole piece will not be effective or convincing. So this crescendo is extremely important, how the crescendo is executed. So I'm going to make a slur all over these notes. And the trumpet cuts through the sound of the orchestra very well as too. Maybe not here in the E flat, because the whole point of having E at the E flat here is going to grow out of the sounds from the piano and take over from the horns. So the trumpet's taking over what the horn is playing, and it's going to grow out to this high F here. Notice how the strings have now entered the picture and are going to assist the trumpet make the crescendo. And the strings are doubling the piano part here. So I have to add this C Dorian harmony for the strings. And as you can hear, all the strings blend together. So again, how can I tell which part is played by the bass, which part is played by violoncello, viola, violin 2, violin 1? Because they're all blended together, so I have to use my deductive powers and reasoning to figure this out. So let's begin with contrabass and cello there in unison, one octave apart. And now let's have the violin 1, enter on the 3rd beat, playing this. Maybe they could be playing divisi. So that means that even within the violin 1 part, some violins will be playing the higher voice, some violins will be playing the lower voice, which would be surprising because of this type of dramatic event. The orchestra needs to it's trying to give everything it's got. So let's put this in divisi. That. Now harmony. When I've violin to viola. Now, since I made the piano so strong at fortissimo, maybe let's have this at forte here, then make the crescendo here. Everything forte here. Well, crescendo. Okay, there. Let's add this. Oops. Huh. Oh, I guess that needs to be second voice. There. That fortissimo. And here, this is a G Dorian harmony here. So this, and I'll go like that. So all these notes have to go down one whole step. E flat goes down a half step to D. This stays, this sostenuto, sustained. And then after let's go down one more whole step. This can go down by one whole step. This is going to sustain. Okay, so I should write appassionato here. Sort of a new section. So this is the passionate section. Okay, wants to write it up at the top of the square. Passionate. That should be more of an expressive indication, actually. So. I'll just put passionate here. Actually, the piano plays something here. So this goes here. And this goes up back to B flat. So okay. All right. And this is tied over too. So not only does the trumpet have to reach the high F, trumpet player has to sustain the note Or maybe a whole note. So. Yeah, so this is where the music would resolve. There'd be a full measure of rest. And there'd even be a crescendo here. So this fortissimo is like a guide point, but it's not the end point. It's even more of a crescendo here. Say fortissimo here. Now this goes back to B flat. Now I know this arpeggio rises all the way up here, but what rhythm it does that and how many beats, I'll have to find out. So piano four reaches this note here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple enough. It just continues up the pattern which has been established already. Oops, no flat. I don't know why this is a natural sign. There doesn't need to be one. The natural sign. All right. Let's see. So it sounded like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So let's change this clef. Let me just use the treble clef actually. Just use an octave sign for that. Staccato. Oops. Octave sign here. And let's see. No, this is held over. The strings are held over. Say for 2 beats. Actually 4 beats. Just piano. Only goes to the second beat. Now, the thing is, they're making also the pianists make a crescendo here as well. So let's see if Sibelius can do it. It should be able to, but I'm not sure if just writing crescendo and then triple forte will be enough to make the computer make such an intense crescendo. That, but we'll see. Obviously, if this were to be arranged for piano, the piano cannot just do this and make triple forte this way, because obviously the piano notes don't sustain. Actually makes a diminuendo the opposite of what we want. So could write arpeggio or some sort of tremolo. something like that. But for the piano arrangement, there has to be more notes here to increase the intensity. So let's see what it sounds like. Oops. Shouldn't be any flat there. Alright, so it didn't really make much of a crescendo as intense as I'd hoped, so I'll have to go manually into some playback function and make this crescendo more something like, I don't know, but after that's just for the aesthetics of the audio. But for the arrangement's sake, this has pretty much been done, and the instrumentalists who would play this would know how to make this crescendo to triple forte there. And I think that pretty much sums up the rest of the whole arrangement in the transcription. And now let's add the concluding chord. Let's let the trumpet player give all the glory to the trumpet player and have the trumpet player go to the high G there. Now let's have the piano resolve it in C Dorian. And have this play a C Dorian harmony as well. And have the double bass double the cello as usual. And let's have a 2D so the horns also play and join in on the fun. And the horns also play triple forte because I don't think they've been instructed to play that in their entrance here. They're muted here. So let me just take out the mutes for now because they're playing piano, and I don't know if even the Sibelius program registers that or not. And maybe for some humor to add like this sort of sound effect by the marimba. Maybe for now I'll just keep it at this C Ionian harmony. Alright, so let's play all the way through and see what we have and then compare it to the recording. pretty close. So there's some E flats here for some reason. Somewhere on here. Let me play this thing. So I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, so it might be something here. All right, this should be a B flat, not B natural. Also one note. This also should be a B flat. And one of the things when the piano left hand entered in should resolve to that A flat here. Should just go to A flat here. And I'll just reinforce it with an octave. So like that. Now the right hand will have to play this in octaves. That's right. Should be diminuendo. I'm not sure if there's a G here or not, but let's see. It's hard to tell because it's just sound effect, but just for the sake of completion, I think it makes sense to have a G there. Also, here this should be just really soft. This should match that G. All right, let's hear the recording. Let's try to sync it up with the video. So there it is. Transcription of the second trailer from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So it's from here we see that the major and minor tonalities are not as a high priority, but the use of modes and the piano as to create color and these different piano configurations, such as this. It adds, it's like from the Spirited Away theme, and later on this comes into the passionate side. Yes, and so forth. So let me just check again this piano configuration. It's actually, it's not a triplet, but it's actually another note there, just like the 4/32 notes there. It's like, so like that. So let me change that. So I have to rewrite everything there. Actually, B flat. Oops. There. Oops. There we go. Just add the slur here. This is phrased like that. Now, I can add the slur there. So that's how it's phrased. It makes sense that way. And this is more passionato. And let's see if there's a crescendo for the piano part. Okay, so I should add a crescendo around here. And I'll change this appassionato to let's see, to make it how about an andante appassionato? Is there such a thing? There's a lot of allegro appassionatos. Andante appassionato. Say andante. Yeah, andante appassionato. Yeah. A walking pace and passionate. So this Pumosa section is a little, maybe slightly faster than introduction. And then we have Andante Appassionato going back to the tempo of the beginning section. So alright, so that concludes the transcription and commentary on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the second trailer theme. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye.